Good evening. Our first speaker tonight is Westminster College's Director of Alumni Community and Board Relations, Annalisa Holcombe. Annalisa is an alumnus of Westminster College. She has an undergraduate degree from here in business and then a JD from the University of Utah. Among the many things that Annalisa has been involved in is the creation of the Alumni Mentoring Program. But you'll get to know more about Annalisa from a story than from her titles. Annalisa and I, several years ago, stood side by side on a stage in front of an audience full of anxious community members, talking with them about the possibility of Westminster College buying the Garfield School. For 2.5 hours, we answered questions, and then in the aftermath of that, Annalisa made two decisions. One, to pour herself into Westminster College's master plan in a way that made sure that the way that we work and develop ourselves works hand in hand with the desires of the community. Second, she moved into the neighborhood where side by side with neighbors day after day who had concerns about parking and students and noise, she talked and engaged and listened and participated in that community. Those things, engagement, discussion, being part of deep interactions that help us know who we are and who we become, are at the heart of what Annalisa does. They're at the heart of what she'll talk with you about tonight as she speaks with you about mentoring and coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, Annalisa Holcombe.
Oh my goodness, this is scary. Okay, so first of all, I have to use notes because it's impossible for me to talk for 10 minutes. You guys that know me, I think it might be a law school thing or something, but we love to hear our own voices. So I actually have to look at the notes just to stop me from telling stories because that's in my nature. So I apologize about that in advance. And there's a timer, and I'm going to suck at this, so I'm sorry. Okay, so there is pressure to do this. The first ever Westminster Thinks Big, that is pressure. And then I'm the first speaker. That's really big pressure. I found out about that a couple of days ago, and I thought, really? So I thought I would start out, since I'm the first one, with something really over the top and really shocking. You ready? Do you see me? That is me. Circa 1988. These are all my best friends from high school. Yes, when we were graduating, we went and got our pictures professionally taken together. Not only did we have big hair, but we had big dreams, and I was about to head off to Westminster College. Big shoulder pads. It was awesome. I'm sharing this with you to be vulnerable at Westminster Thinks Big. Anyway, each one of us girls right there were to have been first-generation college students, except I was the only one that went to college out of all of my friends. And I think that the fact that I was a little bit determined probably had something to do with it, but I think that something else had a lot to do with it as well. That I was about to go to Westminster. I went to a high school on the west side of town, and at that high school, they really encouraged us to think critically about going to community college. Or maybe if we thought big, we could go to a state school. But I met an admissions officer at Westminster College, and she took the time to get to know me. Her name was Betsy McKean. I'm still friends with her. Some of you know her. And when she got to know me, she ended up inviting me to campus to take a college tour. And when I did that, it was with a girl named Vassie Katsikathis. I specifically remember it. She was the incoming student body president, and because my admissions rep knew me, she knew that that girl would bond with me because she was also a first-generation college student. She was also from the west side of town. And all of a sudden, because of those things, I knew I'd found the right place for me. So, yes, while walking around campus, it's beautiful. What sold me on Westminster from the start, what brought me back here to work here years later, what keeps me here today is the people. They look like that. And then, of course, I had the opportunity to be taught by and to really be known by people like that. Any of them look familiar? They were my professors, too. That's Sid. Coach Steinke's not here. Mike Gashler's not here. But some of you know Joy Wolf and Dick Chapman and John Watkins and Nancy Panna-Schmidt. See those? That's what they looked like when I was a student here. I just thought that since I embarrassed myself, I'd embarrass them as well. Dr. Dick did not have pictures of himself that I could find from back in the day. So if you guys see him, please tease him a little bit about that. Anyway, I had the opportunity to really get to know these professors and to have them get to know me. In fact, 20 years after I graduated, I walked onto campus. Okay, it wasn't 20 years, it was about 15. And Nancy happened to be walking by. And she came up to me all those years later and said, "Hey, don't I know you? Were you a student of mine?" That happened here. And I'm not the only one that it happens to. And I say that that is important and special about Westminster. But so what? Everybody has an experience. They have good admissions counselors. People across the country are going to tell you that. I had a good admissions rep. I had some really influential professors. Yeah, and I made some really good friends when I was in college. But what I submit to you is that there is something innately different, very special, and truly distinctive about my Westminster education and about your Westminster education. It's something that was here before I arrived, and it's something that remains here today. And it's this. Does it seem familiar to you a little bit? People have talked about small class size at Westminster ever since I've known this place or heard about this place. But what I want to tell you is it's not the small class size that matters. People all over the country, you know, SUU, they say they have really small class sizes now. And what I say is let them. Go ahead, let them talk about it. You have small class sizes, so what? What they don't have, what they can't replicate, is the depth of our relationships at Westminster College. It's the culture of care that thrives on this campus. And it's what I've been talking about in terms of the mentoring and coaching culture of Westminster College that's been nurtured here for decades. So let me tell you about stories. I hear this stuff all the time. Yeah, that's goofy. I saw your faces. I know. So go ahead and laugh at me. But here's a story. I get to talk to alumni all the time. And just a few weeks ago, a couple of professors and I had this opportunity to meet with an alum who graduated from Westminster 50 years ago. And he told us this story that he had, that his dad had been a Naval Academy grad, and he wanted to go to the Naval Academy, but he didn't get in. So he went to a small liberal arts college on the East Coast. And he had that freshman experience where he really had a lot of fun, got away from his parents' house, and at the end of that first year, the dean of students called him in and said, "Thank you for coming to our school for a year, and now you cannot come back." And so he didn't know what to do with his life. This is a long time ago. And his aunt in Salt Lake City said, "Come out here, and maybe you could even get into Westminster. I don't know, but you can try." So he came here, and he talked to people at Westminster all those years ago, and they said, "All right, here's the thing. You can try. We will let you in on probation for 1 semester." So he did. And he did really well that semester. And his professors paid attention to him. And they said, "1 more semester, we'll see how you do." And he stayed for another semester, and he did really well that semester. And then he had a year of 4.0s. And he was able to reapply to the Naval Academy, and he got in. He finished his education at the Naval Academy because that was his dream. He went on to get an MBA at Harvard. He went on to get a PhD. He spent his entire career teaching at liberal arts schools on the East Coast. He came back here to Westminster, and he said, "Do you know what? Guess who I give money to? Westminster. Not the Naval Academy, not Harvard, not the other schools he went to." And that's because he said that 1 year at Westminster College is the year that changed my life. That 1 year at Westminster College is where they took on me as a person and held me accountable and said, "We know you can do this. Let us help you." And it worked 50 years ago. I also talked to a student just this year who told me a story about sitting in her biology class. And as she was sitting in that biology class, she had this moment where the subject matter they were talking about and what everything was going on around, she had this like, aha, this is what I want to do with my life. I figured it out. I know where my passion lies. And that's not the big story about this. The story is, as she was walking out of the classroom, her Westminster College biology professor came up to her and said, "Hey, come here. What happened to you in class today? I noticed something. What was that? What was going on?" And she had this opportunity to be in a class with a professor who really really understood her, who had the emotional ability to recognize that happening in a student and to acknowledge it and to encourage it and to be the person to prod her to pursue that dream and to know it. And she's here. I told her just now, oh, I'm going to talk about you just so you know. That's the Westminster culture. We push you, we prod you to be what you can be. We will sometimes mentor you, we will sometimes coach you, but we're going to hold you accountable to be the fully capable person that you are. We're going to get to know you, the full you, and when you're not doing your share, we're going to speak up and talk to you about it. So people talk about to me, what is mentoring and what is coaching? Please don't read that whole thing. I realize that the terms themselves, people get caught up in. What are they trying to get me to do? And in fact, we had a learning community. That is not going to happen. Okay, we had a learning community like a year ago. I swear I'm going to finish this. Okay, and in that learning community, we argued for almost a whole year about what is mentoring and what is coaching. So really, I don't care about the terms and what you call it. That's what it ended up looking like at the end. But I did have a person who's a coach to me who explained it a little bit to me like this. A mentor is a person who's an expert at something. So to take it to its very basic level, a mentor is somebody that knows how to tie their shoes. And they're going to sit next to you while they teach you how to tie your own shoes. They'll help you do it. They'll coach you. They'll tell you, hey, here's how to do it. And so as a result, you'll learn how to do it better. That's a mentor. A coach literally comes from the word coach, a vehicle. It is there to take you from point A to point B. A lot of our professors do that. We call it the paradigm shift from teaching to learning. That's coaching people. It's sitting there in the classroom and saying, I know you can do this. I'm going to ask you hard questions about it, but I'm not going to give you the answers. That's what we do here at Westminster. That's a basic definition of what a coach can do. And in fact, the word first became slang in academic circles before it went into athletics. So coaching started in the classroom before it started on the field. So this is who we are at Westminster. We've been coaching and mentoring people all along. Whether we're using other terms like small class size, educating the whole person, I submit that at Westminster we're uniquely equipped to coach and mentor our students through their educational experience. And I also think that that's what brings the particular type of people here to Westminster to teach and to work and to volunteer. And actually, that's what our alumni honestly and quite literally yearn for. I hear them. In the world of things like likes and hashtags and knowing everything about everyone, but not really knowing anybody anymore, that's what our alumni come back and tell me about. They say that they are honestly craving the intense, authentic relationships that they had with professors and peers on the Westminster campus. It's something that they want back. It's something that we have here. It's something that we've always had here. People want to be known and understood, encouraged, and even pushed. And in this changing landscape of higher education, everyone out there is talking about technology and massive open online courses. And a lot of schools out there are suddenly trying to figure out how to jump on the trend, even when they have no idea what the business model will be. What we're doing at Westminster is already incorporating this relationship-based culture into our learning design. So even while we incorporate technology into some of our new offerings, it's unique and different to other schools and inherently Westminster because we start off with the core of who we are, which is relationship-based. Everybody gets coaches. Everybody has peer groups. Everybody has to be part of that engagement that we've always had here at Westminster. So not only are we not changing our core ever, we're embracing it. And it's working out to really great success. It also works out to really great success outside of the classroom, within our co-curricular experiences. This is where I hear from our alumni that some of the most high-impact learning experiences that they have happen in things like plays, in things like sports teams, on student government, theater, music, art shows, undergraduate research, May term trips, MBA trips. All of those high-impact relationship-based learning experiences that our students should all have the opportunity to experience. I've had the opportunity to experience it within our alumni mentoring program. It's another embarrassing picture. I'm doing this. 8 years of this, the value of mentoring is very clear. In a recent letter that I have received from an AMP alumna, who I actually also see here tonight, this person said, "Mentoring changed my life. I am overall a better person. It was the highlight of my education and the program that had the most impact on me as a person and as a student. I hope the program and the concepts behind it are allowed to grow and eventually be part of every Westminster student's experience." And I think that the opportunity, the experience of mentoring, has every bit of an impact on the person who is doing the mentoring as the person who is being mentored. I can say that from personal experience, and I think that right now it's time for us at Westminster College to be audacious about it. I think now is the time that we can really do something that can make a huge difference. We talk all the time about being true lifelong learners here. We have an opportunity to actually incorporate that, and I want us to do it, honestly, so bad. I can't stand it. So what if we had our juniors in college mentoring our prospective students as they come in and be freshmen? What if our seniors are mentoring our sophomores as they're trying to figure out their major? What if our young alumni are mentoring our seniors as they're about to graduate and go off into the workforce? What if our mid-career alumni are mentoring our young alumni to help them navigate their careers? What if our retired alumni are helping our mid-career alumni figure out what they can do with the rest of their lives and how they can make themselves more successful? What if we did that? Nobody else is doing it. We could do it. We'd be the only school in the entire country that does something like this. And we have the innate ability, the innate skill to actually provide this as a value add for all of our students and for all of our alumni. So, this is my call to action. Relationship-based learning is not new here. It has always been our skill. Now is the time to acknowledge it, own it, foster it, promote it, and make it available to everyone. We just need to get started. So, that's the secret sauce at Westminster. And if you can't tell, I really, really want you guys to start cooking. Okay. Ba-dum-bum.